Thank you. Today is Thursday, February 29th, 2024. It is 9:30 a.m. We are in the Township of Greater Madawaska. We have a special council meeting today. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Greater Madawaska calls to order the February 29th, 2024 special council meeting at 9:30 a.m.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? That's unanimous. Meeting starts at 9:30 a.m. I'd like to mention that we have two of our councillors are on Zoom today with us, Councillor Tripp and Councillor Thompson. Thank you for attending. 2.1, approval of agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? Resolution?
That the agenda of the council meeting of February 29th, 2024 be approved as presented.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? I see shaking of heads, so that is a no. Thank you very much. Moving on to 4.1, Protection Services Department, Council Appointment, Renfrew OPP Attachment Board. Resolution, please.
In this case, we'll be going with, I'll be presenting and then we'll go through the resolution just due to the appointment. There's no name in the resolution. So the resolution is as a council appoint as the council representative of the Renfrew OPP Detachment Board.
Thank you. So we'll need a mover for that? No? If you're going in the background, do we not need a mover first?
I'll be presenting it and then we can, there's no resolution.
Okay. So let's do the background first.
What we have here is the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019 requires that the Renfrew OPP detachment have a board of representatives throughout the catchment area for Renfrew, which is the Township of Greater Madawaska, Township of Horton, Admaston, Bromley, McNabb, Braeside, Whitewater Region, the Town of Arnprior, and Town of Renfrew. So what we're doing today is council would be appointing a council rep for the Township of Greater Madawaska to sit on this board. And then from there, this council member will be a representative that will be going through the resumes for applicants for public members. There will be, for the full catchment area, we'll be appointing 2 members of the public to be part of this board. The requirement is that these steps be met by April 1st, 2024, and the term of the appointment will be for the term of council. So it's 2022, essentially to 2026.
Thank you. And my understanding is they meet at least quarterly?
That is correct.
Thank you. Well, let's open up the floor. Do we have anybody interested in being appointed to this board? Just raise your hand. Councillor Levesque and Councillor Tripp. Okay.
No.
Oh, and Councillor Thompson. Sorry, delay on the Zoom there, Lois. Yeah. I think probably the best way to go through this is each one of you state why you'd like to be part of it and your background that would be beneficial. So alphabetically or easiest. So I think you're up, Jeff.
Well, good morning, everybody. So one of the things that I've been given some consideration when I saw this come up was some previous discussions that I had with the former CAO and the road supervisor, as well as I had lots of feedback and discussion with some members within the township about safety concerns. We also heard that, and through our discovery of how the OPP contract works, there seems to be at times some lack of presence of the OPP within the region. as well as the safety concerns I mentioned earlier, some within Calabogie Village, as well as we had through the election concerns about the Griffith Mile that was never really resolved, I don't think, to their satisfaction. So I think we do have some pockets within the township that are of concern, and I would certainly like to participate in that and hopefully make a difference.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Well, when you didn't know, mine's very similar, and when we had the Griffith Mile discussion, I spoke to the OPP reps, and they were saying that if we had a committee, we could do things like get the OPP in to check our safety things like lighting, streets, paths, all kinds of things beyond traffic. And I was just showing an interest in it. I don't need to be on the committee, but I would be willing if I, obviously people are going to decide, but if I'm not on the committee, I'd be willing to give the committee chair information that I've gleaned, as Jeff has, since talking to people about public safety. And I think this is a really, really good initiative because we didn't have this before. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you, and I agree with both Lois and Jeff in terms of our internal need within Greater Madawaska to have a voice at this table. But I also see a larger role in being at the table. My background has been heavily involved in the policy around policing. I was a graduate of the police college decades ago. I was a seasonal instructor at the college following that. We talked about the role changing in policing and how that impacts communities and safer communities. So I've been heavily involved at that level. And then my academic background is criminology with a concentration in sociology. And that focused on the law enforcement side of policing through the criminology, but through sociology, the social impact and how community policing is becoming more prevalent and addressing things outside of just pure enforcement. And we're seeing that shift both within the county, within our township, and across the country. Following that, I've also worked at the National Crime Prevention Center, which is supported under the Department of Justice. And through that, we looked at building a number of innovative models across the country, predominantly in rural communities, focusing on safer communities. And it gets into the things that we're discussing now in terms of how do we realign policing into the needs, both in terms of the enforcement on things like speed, addressing the changing demographics, because as we go forward, I think we're going to see different types of pressures on the policing sector within our community. We're changing demographically, we're changing at a social level. And the layout of our community through the increase in tourism is opening up different venues where policing need to be part of it. And then finally, in terms of the catchment area, I sit on the Addiction Treatment Services Board, which is a collaboration of social and healthcare and enforcement elements within our community to deal with mental health, which is growing exponentially. And we're forming partnerships, which I think is essential to where this board needs to look to go. And as example, we're bringing together the courts through the bench, the police through OPP, social services, the hospital through mental health and addiction. And we're finding we're having a good impact through those collaborations. And I think it's an area where we can go. So my background is very passionate to this. My academic knowledge in it is quite solid. And the relationship with policing and that delicate balance between 4 decades ago, policing was an enforcement role. Now policing has become much more of a community role. And I think that's going to continue to grow. To Lois's point, I've given a lot of thought to this, and I think the position on this board is not just the individual sitting on the board, it's really the voice of our council. And I would suggest that with the board meeting 4 times a year, there would be an appetite to meet before the board so that all of us at council would have an opportunity to review what's coming forward, to have input from our different wards, and our different views, because 5 of us are stronger than one, and then bring that to the board. So to be the voice of all of us, not just one voice at that table, and then post the meeting to come back to council um, to discuss what was resolved or what was presented or what the trends are. And then also, because of the size of our council, we could have bilateral discussions one-on-one, because the reality is, for Taylor and for Lois, your needs are different than in Ward 1, but we need to have those as part of the dialogue at that table. So I've done a lot of thought about it. I have the time. It would be my only committee, because now I don't have a committee that is one of the full term for council. So it would be an interesting one, and it kind of aligns with my background. So that was my rationale for thinking on it. And just my experience with the OPP to date through the addiction treatment services and some of the things that we're looking at already in the catchment area. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Renee or Robin, we have 3 people who have expressed interest. How do we form a vote on this?
You would have to have a conversation amongst each other,
Yeah.
and decide how you want to proceed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's open it up. Taylor, your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you guys volunteered, because I don't know if my face would make it on that committee. I don't know. It's I think it's pretty important to have in our community. It's one of those growing concerns. Listening to the conversations, Rob definitely has more of a background, by the sounds of it, with policing and the rules and the way things are going in that direction right now. But I don't know how to proceed.
Thank you. Jeff?
Well, I like what all of us have said, but I think Rob's Councillor Tripp's is more comprehensive and inclusive. And I think I really like the fact that he brought up the point of us having a voice together at the table, and also the reporting aspect of coming back to like what goes in, but also what comes out of it. I think that's really valid for all of us, and as well as the public. So I would be, myself personally, I would be comfortable deferring my interest to Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. Lois?
And I will say ditto. I'm blown
Yep.
away by it. Oh, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry. Delay. I echo what Jeff said. I'm blown away with what Rob said about his background. You think you know a person. I had no idea the depth he had there with policing. So yes, and I like the idea that not only will I be allowed as a representative of one of the, what I'm starting to call the West End, but it's going to be encouraged, and it's going to be an important part of the fabric of what we do. I'm just so excited that we're doing this, because I asked about it years ago, and there was no voice for each municipality, and now there was an overall voice, but it was not, it has to go down to the neighborhood level, and that's good policing. Yes, so I'm withdrawing.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to make a comment on this. You may have noticed I did not put my name forward. I don't think I have a lot of on my plate already. I'm very busy with county issues and the other boards that I'm on. I also believe that I would not be the right person to be on a board that oversees policing. I have an extensive police background that I was in the rank and file, and my observations and experience is from the rank and file. And I do know where issues take place within the management and structure within the policing that I can offer up to whoever our representative is. And I did not think that it would be appropriate for me to be the voice, because I may have tunnel vision at times and not see things appropriately. So I didn't think for those reasons that I would be appropriate to be on a board that oversees policing. So that just wanted to get that out there, that I was very cognizant of this role, and very cognizant that this role is takes in a lot of issues that at the level of policing I was not in senior management on the police force. I wasn't in senior management until I went to the private world. But there's holistic views that need to be taken now in regards to the opioid crisis, to mental health crisis, to our homeless crisis, and how they're going to be dealt with. And I'm going to echo the rest of council. I believe Councillor Tripp is the perfect fit for this because of his criminology background. He has understanding of that. He has done social work. He sits on board regional health boards, which all these items need to be tied in together with our modern day policing. And I think that it's a perfect fit for us. And I think you'd be a great representative if we vote that way. And I think at this time, it would be appropriate to have a vote of who is all in favor of Councillor Tripp. Would that work?
So what we'll be doing is I'll be reading the motion now and we're able to proceed
Okay.
as normal.
Then let's do it.
That council appoint Councillor Tripp as the council representative on the Renfrew OPP Detachment Board.
I need a mover for that, please. Councillor Levesque and Councillor Popke. Sorry, Lois, time delay. All in favor? That is unanimous. Councillor Tripp, you are our representative on the board. Thank you very much for all who volunteered, and it is greatly appreciated. We'll now move to 5.1, bylaw approval, resolution 41-24. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw 15-2024 confirmatory be deemed read a first, second, and final time and passed by council at the special council meeting held February 29th, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Tripp. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We now have 6.1, motion to adjourn. Resolution, please.
That the special council meeting of February 29th, 2024 be adjourned at 9:47 a.m.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke? Councillor Levesque?
Wow.
Wow. Well, Councillor Thompson's at home. She doesn't have to rush out. Sorry. All in favor for adjournment? That is unanimous. So carried. Meeting adjourned at whatever time you put. 9:46. Thank you very much and have a good day, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you all.